Let me start the recording. Let's start with our prayers. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Rama Rama.
Ram, Hare Hare. We are on, and let me also seek the blessings of my Guru, Gaur Vilas Prabhuji, and the blessings of my Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. With blessings of Guru, let me start this. The first learning when we go through Gita is it is parampara. So we must respect the parampara, and we must thank all the audience for giving support to have this session. Thank you all once again for joining on this Sunday evening. So we are on. Sorry.
Benefit is to us.
Thank you, Ravi. We need two hands to clap, so both of us are in it together. We are on chapter 13, nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. It's also called Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga Yoga, Prakrti, Purusa, Viveka Yoga. We are on part 2. We cover from verse 19 to verse 35. The acronym of this chapter is wisest. Let's go through a quick recap. What we studied
Basham,
in the
just
last class.
quickly, if you can recapture it, Kshetrajna is Bhagavan and also the man with the body, right? Kshetrajna, both, yeah. That's why if you can just clarify that, please.
We'll quickly go through that. So, wisest is, we start with wise questions. Arjuna asks Krishna 6 questions. What are those 6 questions? He says, Krishna, please tell me what is Prakrti, Purusa. We'll be covering these two today. Then he says, tell me what is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Just to give a brief overview, we studied what is Kshetra. Kshetra is field of activity. It is our body. So whatever happens through our body is Kshetra. And Kshetra comes from Prakrti. We see that today. And Kshetrajna is knower of the field. And there are 2 Kshetrajnas within the body. We have one Atma, we have another Paramatma. Or we can call them Kshetrajna 1, Kshetrajna 2. Then question 5 and question 6 was what is Gnanam and what is Gnayam. Gnanam is process of gaining knowledge. So Krishna gives in under the items of knowledge 20 virtues, which if we can, our values, if we can embed in our lives, we will be qualified to understand this most confidential knowledge. It is not something which is easy to understand, easy to imbibe. So he says, first, try to develop these virtues, qualities in you so that you become qualified to understand this knowledge. Then we had a look at a soul and super soul. Just to quickly give you a recap, soul. So this is the diagram which gives us this understanding. So the body, this is Kshetra. Any living body, it's not just human body. Then you have the soul within, Kshetrajna 1. And then you have Kshetrajna 2, that is the super soul. So how do we know the soul is present in the body? It is consciousness. That's why it's called nature, enjoyer, consciousness. How do we make understand that we are conscious? Pinch yourself in any part of the body. Pain is equal. This is the beauty of consciousness. And how does Paramatma sit within? Even today, we'll see that in more detail. He sits as witness. He is responsive. He is not responsible. We will see that going forward today. So, quick recap of Gita. Here, first 6 chapters, Karma Yoga. Second 6 chapters, Bhakti Yoga. And we are starting the Gnana Yoga, and we are on chapter 13 today. So, why is Bhakti Yoga kept in between? Because without Bhakti, neither Karma nor Gnana Yoga can become effective. So you need an element of Bhakti for both of this, for them to succeed. That's why Krishna has packaged it very cleverly by keeping it in the center. We start wisest enjoyer section today. This is lesson 4. 7 verses, 13.20 to 13.26. Here, I have shown this nicely to make us understand what is Krishna trying to tell us. So if a cat looks into the mirror, it should not see a lion. It should see itself. And this is the balance where body, soul, they are so interlinked, very, very high chance that we will mistake one for the other. So if you really have to understand and answer this question, who am I? These this section today is very important because Krishna tells us very clearly what is Prakriti, what is Purusha. So start with the first verse today. Prakrutim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubhau Api Vikarams Gunams Chaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. First lesson that Krishna tells us, Prakriti, material universe, and Purusha are eternal. Let us see who is this Purusha going forward. The translation, material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. So if we have this basic understanding, then we will be in a much better position to appreciate what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. Why he says, fight this battle. Don't really worry about, oh, he is my relation, how will I kill my own family. All that are concepts driven by the understanding we are the body, we are the Kshetra. So we have completed 4 questions so far. He has answered Kshetra. He has explained to Arjuna that the material body of any living being is the Kshetra. Within the material body, we have Kshetrajna, soul and the super soul, Atma, Paramatma, Gneyam, the object of knowledge. Whom do we worship? That is Krishna. Gnanam, the qualifications we should have to simulate this knowledge. So now he comes to answering the first 2 questions, Prakriti, Purusha. He had kept this to the last because this is the most intricate of the knowledge that we should understand. Now, Kshetrajna is one name, Purusha is another name. We call him Purusha because of the tendency of the Lord to enjoy. Why? We will see that. Before we get into Prakriti Purusha, we must go back to the 7th chapter, Knowledge of the Absolute, where Krishna has already given us a good understanding of both Prakriti and Purusha. In 7.4, he says, Bhumir apo analo vayu ham mano buddhir evacha ahankara itiyam me inna prakrutir astada. He says, earth, water, fire, air, mind, intelligence, false ego, all together these constitute my separate material energy, separated material energy. So what is Prakriti? Which makes up of which our body is made up of. Prakriti is also the lower energy of Krishna. In 7.5, he also says, Apareyam itastva anyam prakritim vidime param Jiva Bhutam Mahabhavo Yayedam Dharyate Jagat. So here is describing the Paramatma. He says, or the Atma. So besides this, oh mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities, all Jivatmas, exploiting the resources of this inferior material nature. So what is the basic understanding we could pick up from these 2 verses is Prakriti and that is Jivatma and Prakriti are energies of the Lord. So if they are energies of the Lord, Krishna now gives further description as to how we should understand and how we should differentiate. Prakrutim Purusham Chaiva. Prakriti is very easy to understand. It's the material nature. What is this material nature? Where we can see that it is made up, our body is made up of Prakriti. Our mind, intelligence, buddhi, false ego are all Prakriti. It is not, we should not mistake that anything within us is not Prakriti. Everything is Prakriti, and there is a Purusha sitting inside. And who is that Purusha? He is known as Jivatma, he is known as Kshetrajna, he is known as knower of the field, and he is called Purusha because that is the identity point of view. Why is he called Purusha? Because he is Purushottama. He is the proprietor of this world. He is the supreme controller, and hence he deserves this title of being Purusha and the enjoyer. We must note that Atma is also called Purusha. Why? Because we try to imitate the Lord and try to become the enjoyer. And that's where the problem starts. We are all in this world because of this tendency of we want to enjoy the Vidhi Anadi Ubhau Abhi. Now, we should understand that Prakriti and Purusha both combine together to create this Jivatma. Prakriti, how does this happen? Prakriti is made up of 5 fundamental Pancha Mahabhutas that evolves into universe just like a seed sprouts. That's how we should understand. When the material universe, when the Panchabhutas, through the Panchabhutas, Prakriti manifests itself as this universe. And the first understanding we should have between Prakriti and Purusha is Vidhi Anadi Ubhau Abhi. Both are eternal. We've just seen 2 minutes before, Krishna has already defined them to be the energies of the Lord. So it is natural corollary that they are eternal. Vikaramscha gunamschaiva. But Prakriti undergoes changes, whether it is body, whether it is mind, whether it is intelligence, everything keeps undergoing change. That is called Vikara. Vikara means changes, modifications, transformations. So Purusha does not undergo modifications. Prakriti undergoes modifications. Both of them combine together to form Jiva. Gunamschaiva. Not only that Prakriti undergoes Vikara, it is also under the control, under the influence of the three modes. It's like any laptop, any mobile, it will either run on Apple operating system or it will run on Android. Similarly, anything in this world, any element of Prakriti is always under the control of these three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And these gunas manifest themselves within us, within this individual Jivatma as happiness, sorrow, attachment. This is where the importance of understanding comes in. We must understand it's not the Purusha who is undergoing all these things, it is the Prakriti which is creating this impact on the Purusha. Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. What is he saying? All these changes, Arjuna, please note, are Prakriti Sambhavan. Sambhavan means born. So all the changes that happens to a Jivatma are coming from Prakriti. Example, Acharya has explained what happens when you watch a movie. Person watching the movie is not part of the movie. It's all outside of the person. Similarly, whatever is happening in this world through the Jivatma, Purusha is just watching that as a movie. This is the most important understanding. To summarize, both Prakriti and Purusha are eternal, but only one of the two, that is Prakriti, undergoes different changes, vikaras. And all the action that we see in the world is happening through Prakriti. Purusha does not undergo any change. And we will see this going forward. How do we understand? You go across to any religion, any philosophy, you can see the duality in nature. We are just on the 13th chapter where we studied Kshetra, Kshetrajna. Druk, Drukya, seer or seen. Purusha, Prakriti. Shiva, Parvati. Yin, Yang. Male, female. Positive, negative. Vishnu, Lakshmi. So this is how Prakriti and Purusha have to be understood. I go to the next verse. Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktrutve Hetu Ruchyate. Now, he gives us a further understanding of what is the role of Prakriti and Purusha. How does this whole thing? Nature, this is the translation. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. I told you, after we go through the Prakriti Purusha, we'll understand who am I. If I am the Purusha, if I am eternal, then why do I undergo enjoyment, suffering, misery? Krishna explained this very nicely. Now, after knowing this verse and the previous verse, we can come to the conclusion that what is making us get into this role of suffering or enjoying. First two lines, let's say, define the Prakriti. The next two lines define the Purusha. Prakriti Karya Karana Kartrutve. So Prakriti is the cause of both Karya and Karana. Hetu Krutir Uchyate. That's the first understanding. Now you will be wondering, how can cause and effect both happen from Prakriti? How is it possible? Acharyas give a wonderful example, very easy to understand. Let's look at how do we make our meal? We take food grains, vegetables, spices, salt, sugar, etc. All these are ingredients available in material nature. That's the cause. Without these ingredients, we cannot cook a meal. But when we cook the meal, the lunch, dinner, breakfast is ready. So the cause and the effect both are in Prakriti. It is not that we are getting the ingredients from somewhere else. We are getting it from material nature. When we cook, even the fire comes from Prakriti. So cause and effect are both originating from Prakriti. Kartrutve means creation. Prakriti helps create the meal for us using the ingredients present in the material nature. This is how we should understand. Further, it's not just about cooking a meal. What is happening to this jiva? Prakriti heturuchyate. We also have a sthula sharira, cross body. We also have a sukshma sharira, mind, body, intelligence. We can know the changes, what's happening to the body, but we cannot know the changes, what's happening to the mind, intelligence, and false ego. But the changes are happening continuously. So, what is the understanding here? It is Prakriti, which is the cause of all the changes that are happening in us. In lighter vein, Purusha is, of course, the male and is described as the head of the family. So, Purusha in the spiritual world and Purusha, if you have to understand in what happens in our day to day life, is a slightly lazy person. Best thing because Prakriti, Mama, the woman at home, is always active. But the Purusha at home is busy reading newspaper, looking at news. So, in a joking manner, the Acharya says the Purusha has to cooperate more with their wives. So, this is how the corollary is to our living life. Purusha Sukaduktanam Bhoktritve Heturuchyate. Now, what is the understanding of this? Like the cause and the effect is happening from the Prakriti. The same thing is happening to the Purusha within us. Sukha, Dukkha, Bhoktritve. Both are happening because he is identifying himself with Prakriti. I am wearing my glasses. You are all, let's say, Ravi, uncle are wearing our glasses. We assume glass to be part of us because without glass we cannot see. But the fact remains the glass is independent. The glass is not part of the body. Similarly, because we have identified ourselves with the glass has become an integral part of us. Purusha identifies himself with the body, hence he is going through all the sufferings. Krishna is saying both Sukha, Dukkha, Nam are only result of the misidentification of the living entity Atma with the body. Example, beautiful example. Now, within our own body, we have eyes. We can see everything in the world through our pair of eyes. But can you see your own eyes? Very difficult, impossible. Of course, for argument's sake, we can say that, oh, we can see our eyes through a mirror. Yes, you need a mirror. But even in the mirror, you are only seeing the reflection of your eyes and you're not able to see your own eyes. That is the way we should understand. Purusha is within us, Purusha is invisible. You cannot see the Purusha even though he is existing. We have our own eyes, we see the whole world through the eyes, but we cannot see our own eyes ourselves. We need help of a mirror. Even with the mirror, you cannot see the original pair of eyes. This is how Purusha exists within our body. We go to the next verse. Purusha prakrutisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan aranam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmashu. Very important verse. We saw in the last verse what is the cause of our sukha dukha because we are identifying ourselves with the prakriti. Now, Krishna also tells us not only we identify, associate with the modes, and that is what causes transmigration. Sat, Asat, Yoni, Janmashu. We keep taking birth again and again because of this endless samsara. Why? Let's go through. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. This, thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. So now this mantra or this sloka is called the Vibhaga. Why is it so important? Because 13th, 14th, and 15th chapters are very intricately connected. In the 15th chapter, which we are going to cover in the coming classes, Krishna defines the tree of material existence. So let's understand 15th chapter is the tree of material existence. So every tree can grow with the help of a seed. So that seed is defined in the 13th chapter. What is that seed? Seed is the desire to enjoy. Bhoktrutve heturuchyate, bhumte prakrti jan gunan. So both these two verses are telling us it is desire, the tendency for us to enjoy is the seed, desire, which makes us to come back again and again. 14th chapter becomes, which is the description of how the three modes act, is defined as the water. So 13th chapter is the seed, 14th chapter is the water to nourish the seed, and 15th chapter is the tree of material existence. So if we understand desire is the cause of our repeated birth, what is causing this desire and what fulfills this desire? It is the three modes of material nature. And we get into this samsara of material existence. So this is why this mantra, this sloka is called Vijavakya. Coming to the line by line understanding. Purusha Prakriti Stohi. Where is this Purusha located? Krishna is saying Purusha is located within the material body. And we all know this. This Kshetra, which is already defined and explained, within that, we have the Purusha sitting. We have so far talked to him or talked about him as Kshetrajna, but now Krishna is also giving us another definition of him as Purusha. So where is the Purusha? Prakrutisto. He is within the body. And how does this body come about? It comes about because of the uh, Samyoga. Prakriti and Purusha come together. And this wedlock of Prakriti and Purusha creates the samsara. Ghumte Prakriti Jangunan. The soul is situated in the Prakriti, the body made up of Prakriti. Why? And it also has this desire to enjoy that. How does this enjoyment come about? So if you look at Panchbhutas themselves, earth, water, air, fire, ether, they are not attractive. When the modes act on them, it becomes attractive. Let's understand this. You see this beautiful sunrise evokes quick feeling within us. Any person feels refreshed looking at sunlight. So the Panchabhuta has now, with the act of modes, has become sunrise. So it attracts us in the mode of sattvic, mode of goodness. Let's see the same Panchabhutas is manifested itself as a beautiful opposite gender, a female or a male, irrespective of, or if you're a male, female is attractive. If you're a female, male is attractive. What does this attraction signify? It is the mood of passion, rajasic. You take alcohol, tobacco, they're all prakriti coming from Mother Nature. It evokes within us as tamasic desire, habit forming. You get into that, you will not come out of it. So this is how Prakriti Jan Gunan, because of our association, we are getting into this samsara. Varanam Gunasangosya. Now, this is very, very important. How does this cause and effect cycle work? I'll show you this within the nice flow diagram. So first step is we have identified ourselves with as body. We are Kshetra. So, and we have a mind and intelligence. What does the mind and intelligence say? Go after the things which are sukha oriented. So we start attaching ourselves to sukha. Then the mind also tells us, don't look at dukkha. Try to avoid dukkha. Is it possible? But that's the belief we are working with. What does the mind do? We continuously search for objects of sukha. What does the intelligence say? Don't get into the objects of dukkha. And we become trapped, trying to search for sukha. We may get it, we may not get it. Now, second step, third step, you are trapped in the samsara. Fourth step, to get what you want as sukha, to avoid what you don't want as dukkha, you perform respective karmas. So this karma starts binding us into this samsara. Karanam gunasangosya. And this is a endless cycle, keeps on going. Sad asad yoni janmushu. What is the result of this? We get into a good yoni. Yoni is birth. We're all born from the yoni. So sad asad janmashu. That is the cause of our taking different births repeatedly again and again. So If we have to come out of this samsara, we should only realize that we are not the body, we are the soul. Let's go to the next verse. Now Krishna starts telling us, how is this Purusha? How do we understand? We are Atma, we are part of Paramatma, but what is the difference between Kshetrajna 1 and Kshetrajna 2? This verse gives us that difference. Upadrishta Anumanta cha Vrata Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatme Tichapi Yukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Paraha. He super soul is the real Purusha. So we are only trying to imitate the Lord. And do we succeed? We don't succeed. Translation. Yet in this body, there is another transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Paramatmeti chapi yukto dehe asmin purusha paraha. What are the characteristics of the super purusha, super soul? He is upadrushta. Upadrushta means overseer. Upa means near. Drushta means sight, see. So he is seeing everything by being near. And where is he? Within us. And he says, I am not going to do anything. Hanumantha. He is the permitter. He is non-interfering. He allows us, permits us, blesses us. You can do what you want in his presence. He is only the witness. Artha. He is the maintainer and sustainer. We should realize that the love of the Lord is universal and eternal. We may recognize him, we may not recognize him. We may acknowledge him, we may not acknowledge him. We may agree with his presence, we may disagree with his presence. But he is universal. He is the maintainer and the sustainer. Irrespective of what you think, what is your behavior, he will look after the Atma. How do we understand this? You look at a fan. Acharya says, when you see the fan rotating, yes, fan is rotating. It's just like our Kshetra. But the electricity is invisible, which blesses the fan with the energy to do its work. Similarly, the Lord is the maintainer and sustainer of all living jivatmas in this world, from man to ant. No difference. Bhokta and enjoyer. He is the only enjoyer. That is why he is known as Purusha. He is Purushottama. He owns everything, so he's qualified to enjoy. We own nothing, but we want to enjoy. Who is he? He is Maheshwara. He is also the supreme controller. Everything in this world runs only because of his will and his desire. Cha api. So this is how it has been defined in this verse. So it is not we who are saying, it is Krishna who is saying. And then he says, where do you find this Purusha? Dehe asmen, within the body of each living being. And how do you see him? You see him as, sorry, Purusha Paraha. He is, now when we saw about our Atma, he is um, Prakrti. So he is within the body, whereas the Lord is Purusha Paraha. He is transcendental. He is not affected by the three modes of material nature. He is Maheshwara, whereas we saw our Atma is Sat Asat Yoni Janmashu. We are going to take repeated births till our desire to enjoy is completely exhausted. That is mukti. If you identify yourself with the supreme cause that I am here to serve the Lord, that day our mukti will happen. We will gain that moksha. Going to the next verse. This verse tells us what happens if you have this understanding.
Guruji, one in the previous one he says like bhumte, right? So Purushaha bhumte, right? The Purusha Prakritistha, so the one who is in the body is enjoying bhukte, right? Bhukte means he enjoys, right? So Purusha, right? Now that Purusha is the, we as a man or the inferior, or whereas 23, here it refers to Maheshwara, right? The superior, super soul.
Right.
On page
so the 21, 22 are Atma, 23 onwards is Paramatma.
Paramatma. Okay.
Yes.
So it is the so it's the Lord also is enjoying. Okay, he's Bharta, he is portion, but the one who looks after, he is a permitter, and he's also an enjoyer.
Yes, yes. Now, with this knowledge, what happens? Just imagine. Krishna says, Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvata vartamano api nasa bhuyo abhijayate. What a fantastic prize we can get by knowing this basic knowledge. We are not the Prakriti, we are not the body, we are the soul. Krishna says in the translation, one who understands this philosophy concerning the material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Can we get such a result by doing anything else? Impossible. But Gita tells us the easiest way to get moksha. Prakrya evam veti purusha. Kya is such a person? Evam veti purusha. Person who understands that we are combination of Prakriti and Purusha. We are not the Prakriti. We are the Purusha sitting in this material body of Prakriti. We have to identify ourselves with the true Purusha and not the Prakriti. If you are able to do this, understand, appreciate, discern, Prakritim cha gunai saha, this Prakriti, this body is under the action of all the three modes. He understands that, yes, whatever is happening to my body, it is fat, lean, old, bald head, whatever. I get angry, I'm in love, I have envy, etc., etc. All these vikaras, all these transformations that are happening are all because of Prakriti. I am eternal. Nothing happens to me. Sarvata Vartamano Api. Now, to understand this knowledge, Krishna says you don't have to do anything. Just listen, read, understand. You don't have to change your job. You don't have to go into the forest. You don't have to do change your varna, nothing. I'm not asking you to do any penance, no austerities, just listening and understanding and imbibing. So he says, Sarvata Vartamanopi, continue the way you're living in this world, but with this realization. Nasa Bhuyo Abhijayate, he will not take birth here again. Why do we remain in this body? Why do we come again into this world? Basically, because of our desire, and because of that desire, we have performed karmas, which comes to us as prarabdha, and with this, we keep coming again and again into this world. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, purpose of this knowledge is to understand distinctly that we as jivatmas have fallen by chance of some desire expressed to the Lord that I want to enjoy in the material world, and that's why we are taking birth here. He says, if you are able to, having come here, now we have to get back. How do we get back? Prabhupada says, listen to the spiritual master, listen to the scriptures, read the scriptures, understand, and by that we can go back to Godhead. That is the Nasa Bhuyo Abhijayate. Next. Jnanenatmani pashyanti kechid atmanam atmana anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. It is not that, we only have to do Gnana Yoga. You need to read, understand, listen. Krishna is also giving us other methods. In the translation, we can understand this. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. So it's quite easy to understand. Dhyanenatmani prashyanti, by meditation, by Ashtanga Yoga. We have gone through this Dhyana Yoga chapter. Atmani, if you see here, you have Atmani, Atmanam, Atmana. So Atma is being defined three times. First Atmani is your inner self. Kechit Atmanam, Atmana. Train your mind to really see the inner self. Don't go by this external appearance that we are the body. Understand that Mana Atmanam. Use your mind. This is the mind. Use this mind to realize that Paramatma is within us. Train your mind through meditation. And if you do that, you will be able to see the illumination within. And some people do this jnana yoga. So you can see and realize Krishna consciousness through meditation as well. In Maitreya Upanishad, we come across a very nice example. Sri Vamadeva, he declared within the mother's womb, Aham Brahmasmi. He says, I don't have to come into this world to realize that I am not this body, I am the soul. So imagine what should be his nature of knowledge. He has imbibed this knowledge. He has come into this world from the womb. He says, I am Aham Brahmasmi. And Krishna says in 6.47, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatinantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mataha. Of all the yogis who has great faith and abides in me, thinks of me within himself. That is Dhyana Yoga, trains the mind and renders transcendental service unto me. He is the highest of the yogis. That is my opinion. So, Dhyana Yoga is another way, another path to realize the Lord within us. Anya Sankhena Yogena. We have heard of and we have read about Sankhya Yoga in this first chapter itself. In this chapter, in the first part, we studied 24 elements of Sankhya Yoga. Now, if you further progress on the path of Sankhya Yoga, what does these yogis do? They add the Atma as the 25th element, Paramatma as the 26th element, and they are also getting the realization of Atma and Paramatma within. Karma Yogena Chapare. We have studied Karma Yoga in 6 chapters. We know that Nishkama Karma Yoga. If you work in this world without having a desire for your fruits, that also will help you purify your impurities. And what are those impurities we have to get rid of? Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya. If we are able to, it looks like a small 5, 6 items. It takes lifetimes to get rid of even one of them. If you are able to do that, even through Karma Yoga, we will be able to see the inner self. In Bhagavatam, it says, Savidya Tanmatiryaya. True knowledge is that which helps us to develop love for God. Fulfillment of karma occurs when it is done for the pleasure of the Lord. What did Arjuna do? Arjuna said, I will fight for you, O Krishna. That's all we should say. I will live, O Krishna. I will live for you, O Krishna. So these are the 3 paths that Krishna describes. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, that also will give you the realization of Atma and Paramatma. Now, this is the best verse for all of us living in this 21st century. Anyatva evam ajanantah shrutvanebhya upasate te api chatidaranti eva kim shruti parayanaha. Now he says bhakti by hearing. I'm sure we may find it difficult to read, we may find it difficult to understand, but it is not that difficult to listen because the wisdom is being shared and we just have to listen to it carefully. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Lord, Supreme Person, upon hearing about Him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. This is an exact verse shloka for our modern society. We hardly ever get exposed to spiritual knowledge. We are never taught Gita throughout our education period. If only they had, perhaps we would have been a far, far better equipped to deal with the challenges of life and to lead this life peacefully. Anyateva evam ajanantaha. So what is Krishna saying? Others who do not have the knowledge of the self, they are not equipped to karma yoga, dhyana yoga. I can't read Gita. I cannot think about all these things. He says, fine. Even for you, just I can give you one shortcut. And the shortcut is listen to people who are well versed in the scriptures. Now, you may be wondering, is it so easy? It is not so easy. You see, Acharyas quote 2 examples, Duryodhana and Ravana. They were born in the great family. They had all the equipments, tools of knowledge within their families. What did they end up becoming? Demons. They did not become Deva. They did not become Devata. Why? Because within their family, they said, I will not listen, I will not understand. For us, we have that golden opportunity. Let's listen. Shrutvenabhya upasate. Just listen to the person who is well equipped, who understands, and he speaks about scriptures and shares the knowledge with all of us. They api, even they, Sati Taranti eva. They will also go beyond, they will transcend the path of death, birth and death. Mrutyum Shruti Parayanaha. What is Shruti Parayana? Now, Mrutyum we all understand we can go beyond death. Shruti Parayana is dedicated to hearing from authentic teachers of the scriptures. Shruti. Now you can adopt Shruti in any way you like. Chanting Gayatri Mantra 100 times a day looks very, very challenging. There are people who do that. Haridas Thakur, Namacharya, he used to chant 194 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day. 21 hours a day only dedicated to Shruti Parayana. So the Lord has said, there is a path available to you. Please do that. Now, you may be wondering, Are, is it so easy? Then Acharya says, look, understand what did Valmiki achieve in his life. He was a dacoit. He was Ratnakara by name, by birth. He was trying to harass people, rob people, and he tried to do the same thing with Narad Muni. Narad Muni said, "Oh Ratnakara, I am very happy that you want to steal something from me, but I have nothing to give you except knowledge." Then Ratnakara says, "What knowledge do you want to give me?" He says, "Just go back home and ask your family. Do you wish or do you agree to partake even a little bit of sin that I am what is say experiencing to feed the family?" Family says, "Oh dear, I don't want to be a part or I don't want to partake any part of your sin. I just want to enjoy the fruits." It was the first step in realization. He says, "Oh Narada, if they don't want to take the sins, why should I do all these things?" Narada said, "That is what I am trying to explain to you." Then he says, "What do I do?" He says, "Just chant the name of the Lord, Shruti Parayana, and you will be liberated." What did Valmiki do? He says, "I can't chant Rama because I'm not qualified." Then Narada says, "Chant Mara. Mara, 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 Mara." After 10 times, Mara becomes Rama. And he became a great saint, Valmiki, because when he started doing Shruti Parayana, he forgot himself to the whole world. There was an ant hill which developed over him, and the Lord appeared and blessed him. This is what is Shruti Parayana. So this completes the four paths that Krishna has said. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, we studied in the last verse. Then this is Bhakti Yoga, Shruti Parayana. It is so easy to get to the Lord, provided you follow one of the paths. We come to the lesson 5, wisest, yes, seeker to seer. Let's go through this verse. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam stavar jangamam hetra kshetrajna samyogat tad vidhi bharatar sabha. Now he's saying, please understand this world is a combination of Prakrti and Purusa. Oh, my battery is weak. Let me charge. Translation. O chief of Bharatar Sabha, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Now, this is what is knowledge. This is what we should try to understand. Clear our ignorance. Yavat sanjayate kinchit. Whatever you see in existence, whatever and kinchit is the smallest. It is tattvam. It has existence. It is born, it grows, decays, and dies. Sthavara. Even the non-moving inert beings are also included here. Gangamam, entire moving and non-moving. The whole existence is cause of that is Kshetra Samyoga. Understand that. There is a union between Prakrti and Purusha, Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Only then this material universe is born and it works. You should understand the cause of this Prakriti and Purusha, then you will be able to understand how do we come out of the influence of Prakriti. Tad Vidhi Bharatar Sabha. Know this among the best of Bharatas, you are Bharatar Sabha. So what is the learning for Arjuna? Understand this whole material universe. You are standing in this battlefield, you are seeing all these people willing to kill each other. They are your relations. Yes, that is one fact. The universal truth is this entire existence is part of Prakriti and Purusha. Whatever you see as a Purusha, you should not be influenced. Just do what the super soul Paramatma tells us to do. That's it. Follow the Lord's path, you will achieve moksha. Next. Now, how do we get this? Now, one is, that, yes, I should identify myself with the Kshetrajna, with the Purusha. How do we start doing it? Now he gives us the path. He says, Jnana Chakshu, Kamam Sarveshu Bhuteshu, Vistantam Parameshwaram, Vinashyatsva Avinashyantam, Yap Pashyati Sa Pashyati. Now, this is the true seer's vision of Paramatma. How do we see the Paramatma in our existence? Krishna says it's very simple. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. So, what is that? We don't die when this body dies. What is the realization? We should not get affected by what happens to the body. And that is possible if you know this knowledge, universal truth. Tamam is equally, without distinction. Sarveshu, in all. Bhuteshu, all living things, from Brahma to the non-moving. One who sees all living beings equally, because the super soul is within all of us. Now, if you go to Vrindavan, if you go to Govardhan, Govardhan is a mountain, small mountain, a hill. People prostrate themselves. People worship every stone found in the Govardhan Parvat as Govardhan. That is faith, because Krishna has said, you can see me in Stavara Jangamam. Any living and non-living being, I am present. Perhaps, but you should have the vision to see that. Iskcon Parameshwaram. He is very clearly saying that I am present as Parameshwara, as Ishvara, in the heart of all living beings. Now, how do we understand this? The Acharya says, if I show you a ring, you will be able to say that it is made up of gold. How did you get this knowledge? Because you understand that for ornaments, gold is the most preferred valuable metal. Similarly, he says, please understand any living being, any non-living being in this world has me in it, so you should respect it equally. Then Arjuna was so concerned about his killing his relatives. Now Krishna gives further example. He says, Vinashyatsa avinashyantam. Kshetra, the body is destructible. What you see as Bhishma, what you see as Drona, they're all bodies. Within the body, there is a Purusha who is Avinashyantam. He is Paramatma. He is Kshetrajna. He is imperishable, indestructible. This Purusha is located in the destructible body. So what you're killing is only their bodies and nothing else. And if you are able to get this vision, yap pashyati sapashyati. If you see this universal truth, if you become a Gnana Yogi, if you see Parameshwara within every living being, then you have understood yourself and you have understood the universal truth. So now, how do I understand? Why is this Krishna emphasizing so much on Gnana Chakshu? Because if I am a physics student, if I am a science student, the moment I switch on the fan and the fan gives me wind, air, I know that, oh, the fan is operated through electricity. But I never pause to see, oh, the fan is the reality or the electricity is the reality. It's a combination of the two. And what is actually making the fan work? It is the electricity. That is Parameshwara. You must understand the universal truth behind this universe. That is the challenge. Now, there was a lady, Acharya explained, she went to Swamiji. She said, Swamiji, I am absolutely happy in this world. I have a good family, I have children, I have a business, my husband is well employed, investments, savings, etc., etc. I don't need anything in this world. Then Swamiji said, then why have you come to me? You have everything. Then she says, oh, Swamiji, I have that there is something missing in me. I don't know what is that. And the Swamiji says, you have seen the best of the material world. Your Pranachakshu is wanting you to start seeing this spiritual reality. This is how we must all awake. We continue to flow in this samsara and never stop and pause. we will never reflect, then we will never get that urge. The day you stop and pause, slow down, then you'll say that, wow, samam sarveshu bhuteshu. Why do you say namaskar? The the Atma in me is greeting the Atma in you. That is namaskar. So why do we offer obeisances to elders? It's not because they are, it is because our Atma is paying respect to their Atma. This is humility. This is Gnana Chakshu. So how do we identify the Paramatma? By having this equal vision. He continues, Samam Pashyan Sarvatra, Samam Stitam Ishwaram.
What's that picture? That picture represents the picture with the elephant and the man. And what does that represent?
Yes. So you will see the different living beings. Now I'll come to that verse also. So there is Paramatma within elephant, recognize that. There is Paramatma within this dog, recognize that. There is Paramatma within this cow. You may be a rich man, you may be a king, whatever you are, identify that Paramatma is the only common factor in all this material universe. That's what is the purpose of that.
Sarveshu, sarvabhuteshu, samam.
Yes, samam. He continues. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra, samavasthitam ishwaram, na hinasti atmanatmanam, tato yati param gatim. Now, what is the result of this measure vision? Now, people may be wondering, after reading Gita, what is my benefit? Say, if you have this vision of respecting the whole mankind, whole world, you are at peace. Translation: one who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. He approaches the transcendental destination. Now you may be wondering, how do I understand this? Samam pashyani sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram. It says that, don't react to what happens to us. Don't judge, don't expect. Whatever happens, accept. Don't expect. Now you may be wondering, oh well, these are all words regularly. How do I, live that in my world, in this world? So Acharya gives this example. He says, now Parikshit Maharaj, he was one of the greatest emperors of his times. He ruled the world. He was a great devotee of the Lord. But one fine day, this emperor was cursed by a sage in rage, saying that you will have to die in 7 days. Most of us will have found, or we get into such situations where we are, wrongly accused. We get angry with them. What did Parikshit Maharaj do? He says he is the emperor. If he wanted to, he could have gone to Krishna and said, "I want this curse to be withdrawn, or you give me a remedy. I don't want to die in 7 days. I want to live." He says, "No, I will accept even the anger of the sage to curse me is a message of the Lord." And he says, I will quit this body happily as a service to the Lord. And he listened to Bhagavatam and he quit his body. This is the ultimate example of Samam Pashyani Sarvatra, Samavasthitam Ishwaram. Everything that is happening in this world, every instance, every occurrence is a message from the Lord. Just that we must tune our minds to understand. Don't allow this mind, that's why he says, Na hinasti atmanatmanam. Do not allow this deviating mind to give you wrong picture. Don't hold grudge, don't have jealousy, don't get into anger. All these are transformations of Prakrti. Treasure within is hidden within. We must recognize that why am I getting angry? What is that I am losing if that fellow else at me? Easier said than done. But if we are able to understand this and start living this bit by bit, tato yati param gatim, he approaches the transcendental destination. Such a big price if we are able to overcome the normal deviations of the mind. Mind is the greatest asset. Mind is the greatest curse. So we must train the mind by listening to scriptures. You take sacrifice of Jesus. Acharya has explained here the devotees of Jesus were shattered when he was crucified. They said, "Oh, he has sacrificed our life, his life for us. How unkind this world is. Why did they crucify him?" This is the starting point. Afterwards, they realized Jesus accepted death willingly because he loved us. And they slowly started getting into Samam Pashyani Sarvatra. They said, we will spread this message of sacrifice across the world. And today we see Christianity is most widespread religion. So whatever happens, even in that violent act of crucifixion, there is a message of peace for the universe. What do we understand in this prayer? Asatoma Satgamaya. Ma means me. Please take me from truth to untruth. From untruth to Amasoma Jyotirgamaya. Darkness to light. Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya. From mortality to immortality. We say these prayers and we will be, no, we don't even think, how does this happen? How can this happen? So Krishna is saying, don't allow your mind to play games with you. Now we come to the last portion, that is transcendental Gnana Chakshu. It is like, now we talked about physics Gnana Chakshu. We can make out that how does the fan work because of the invisible electricity. Similarly, if we are able to understand how this Prakriti and Purusha combine, who are we, then we can live a far better life than what we are doing today. In fact, the Acharyas compared this Gnana Chakshu to the third eye. If Shiva has the third eye, all of us can have the third eye. By trying to discern, discriminate, relax, and saying that, okay, all that is happening is only vikara of this Prakriti. Nothing is going to affect me. Prakrutaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasaha ya pashyati tatatmanam akartaram sapashyati. Again, he gives us the true seer's vision about Jiva and Prakriti. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. He is trying to reinforce the message. Uttaivacha karmani, kriyamanani sarvasa. Who is the doer? Krishna is very clearly saying Prakriti. He is not saying Jiva Atmani Yavacha Karmani. You are responsible for all the karmas. No. He says Prakriti is the doer. Kshetra is the doer. They alone do all the actions. And the action could be speech, mind, body, good action, bad action. Everything is happening because of Prakriti. We must see this. Yapashyati. See this. Understand this. Realize this. Tata Atmanam. When you are a wise man, never say, I am doing. You say that Prakriti does everything. I, as Purusha, is only the witness. Kartaram sapashyati. Atma is only the witness. It is the electricity in the fan. It does nothing. It is not electricity which is giving us air. It is making the fan to rotate and give us the air. So the summary is Prakriti, material nature, is the doer of all the things. And if you see this truth, then you will realize, and people say, how do I live peacefully in this world? Just by accepting that whatever is happening in this external world is not me. It is only a appearance of me. This glass is not me, but it plays an important role of giving me eyesight. But this is not me. So that is what is the realization we should have. If you understand that Purusha, all of us are Purusha within, are not the doers. It is Prakriti which is doing, and we are witnessing. Go to the next verse. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastam anupashyati ta eva cha vistaram dhamma sampadyate tada. Translation. Now this is the Brahman vision. It looks very exotic, esoteric, but simple. Universal truth is very easy to read, but understand also. Difficult to realize. Krishna is defining the Brahman vision for us. Brahma sampadyate tada. When a sensible man sees ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. So the Lord is now describing the transcendence of the Paramatma. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam. We see this world as pratak bhavam, diversity. You have different bodies, different conditioning, different nature. So we start believing that, oh, an elephant is an elephant, an ant is an ant. I can't be them. Actually, ekastham. No difference between elephant and us, elephant and ant. Ekastham anupashyati. Because within this material body, there is the spiritual Purusha and Paramatma who are sitting. Anupashyati. Try to see this. Of course, our eyes are not meant to see spiritual things. Our eyes can only see material things. You need to train your mind to see this. You need the assistance of scriptures, spiritual masters. They will help us to see the spirit in this material universe. Tata evacha vistaram. Understand from where this diversity is coming, from where this pratak bhavam is happening. It is all happening. It's all the trigger is a desire. And to fulfill the desire is action, that is dharma. So the whole thing is originating vistaram from the desire to lord over the material world. Brahma sampadhyate tada. If you are able to relax, completely cool down and say that, well, whatever is happening not to me, but to the body that I am located within. So I must not take this seriously. The suffering is also a movie. The joy is also a movie. It is temporary. It comes, it goes. Switch on the fan, switch off the fan. The electricity is not affected. Similarly, Purusha is not affected. That is the wisdom. Now, you may be wondering, oh, well, how do I understand this? Acharyas gives us an example. Of course, I will try to share this example, but it is very, 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 it has a deep philosophical meaning. Now, what happens to us when we dream? It is the same body. I am Sham, you are Ravi, but we dream. In the dream world, we are completely lost to this real world. Whatever is the role we are in the dream, we are believing that it is happening to us. You will go through raga, dvesha, mada, matsara. You have fear, you have joy, everything. As soon as we come out of the dream, what happens? You realize, oh, well, I was in a dream. It was an illusion. So, the dream is me, but I was in the dream state. So, when I wake up, it is me, but I am in the waking up state. I am realizing that that dream was within me. So, if you realize that I am the Purusha, but trying to behave like Prakrti because of this body, this mind, this intelligence, this sukha, dukkha are all like the dream. The moment I wake up, I realize that this dream is within me. That is how you have to realize what is happening to us. That is the essence of Brahma Sampadhyate Tada. I'm sure it's not very easy to understand, but mark this, reflect this thought. What happens to us when we are awake? What happens to us when we are in a dream? And both of us are the same. But the dream world appears so different. But we control the dream world because when we wake up, the dream is no longer there. Similarly, if we identify ourselves with Purusha, we can control our lives better without reacting, without getting into this problem of Sukha, Dukkha. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah sharirastu api kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. We have already seen soul is a non-doer. Krishna gives us another example. Soul is a non-doer and is not entangled. Whatever happens is happening only to the Kshetra. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. So, this is reinforcement of all the things that we have studied so far. Anaditwan, the Paramatma, the super soul, Kshetrajna, has no beginning. What is the message here? We will answer your question after the session, Chetna. Just saw your message.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji. No problem.
Okay. So Anaditwan is no beginning. So first realization. Nirgunatvat, he is beyond three modes. He doesn't laugh, he doesn't cry. He is beyond the influence of three modes. He is Paramatma. He is transcendental. Avyayaha, immutable, no change. Now you can see change in two forms. One is substantial change, one is attribute change. If you see gold becoming a ring or gold becoming a bangle, it is attribute. The gold remains gold, but yes, you see it in different shapes. You see milk becoming curd, it is substantial change. Both the changes are not applicable to the Mahatma. Karirasto api na karoti. He is within this Prakrti, within this material body, within this Kshetra, but he does not act. Na karoti. He does not act. Na lipyate. He is not entangled. Krishna gives wonderful examples to highlight this fact. Let's go through the examples. Yata sarvagatam saukmyat akasham nopalipyate sarvatra avastito dehe tatmatma nopalipyate. Soul doesn't mix with matter. Yes, there is some yoga happening, but it doesn't mix with matter. It is spirit, and this Prakriti, what we see as Kshetra, is matter. Explanation. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. How do we understand this? Yatha, just as Sarvagatam Saukshmyat. Now, what is Sarvagatam? We have to understand with the example. Space. Space is subtler than everything in this creation. It is why space pervades the entire creation. It can accommodate anything and everything. Physics is the greater the subtlety, the greater is the pervasiveness. So, because of the subtle nature, the space cannot be touched by the gross body. That is the meaning of Sarvagatam Saukmyat. Now, Acharyas give us further example. It says, thought. We think mind can travel from here to US in milliseconds. Thought is also subtle. Space is subtler. And most subtlest thing in this world is the Atma and the soul, Kshetrajna. It allows everything to remain in it, but nothing can contaminate it. So when he defines this, Akasham no lipyate, he's giving us an example. Imagine just like what happens to the space, the Purusha within the body is not affected by this body. Now, Akasham, space, is present in all upadhis. It could be, you could take a cup, jug, room, hall, house, field, anything. Space is everywhere. When you interface affected, just because the cup is dirty, when you make the space dirty, just because the room is blue, will the space become blue? Because you have to understand the space is given, but space is not affected. This is how the Paramatma, Atma exists within us. Sarvatra avastito dehe. It is present in everything uniformly. Tathatmanopalipyate. But it is not entangled. It is situated in all the bodies. It is situated in the material body, but it is not affected. That is the uniqueness we have to understand. Why this Purusha is invisible? How does this Purusha act? By taking the example of Akash, space. Next example. Yata prakashayat ekaha Krishnam lokam imam ravi Kshetram kshetri tata Krishnam prakashayati bharata. He's giving us another example. He says the soul illuminates the entire body by consciousness. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body by consciousness. Yatha is just as Prakashati Ekaha. Who is illuminating the whole world? It is Ravi. Do we have a million suns giving us light? It is one Ravi. Is there a different Ravi in the morning and in the night? No, there is only one Ravi. And what does the Ravi do? What does the sun do? Ravi, I am referring to the sun Ravi.
Yes, sir.
So
My
I'm not.
Ravi plus Shankar. You remember that? Huh?
So the Ravi sun is only one. And what does he do? Krishnam Lokam Imam Ravi. He illumines the whole universe. And illumination, light is the nature of the sun. It is not that he is going to do anything special just because we want light. No, it is the nature of the sun who illumine. Similarly, and any object which comes in the path, it gets illumination. It's not that, I will not illuminate a stone, I will not illuminate this portion of the world. No, he is universal. Similarly, Kshetram Kshetri Tata Krishnam. This Atma is situated within this material body, within this Prakriti, within this body made up of this Panchabhutas of the Prakriti, Prakashayati Bharata. It illumines the body and the mind without being contaminated by what is happening. It is not contaminated by the sins of the mind, perversion of the intelligence, crimes of the physical body. Purusha remains uh, what you can say, he's unaffected by any of this. He will continue to illumine as long as you are, as he is inside. Prakashayati Bharata. What happens to us when the Atma leaves? There is no consciousness. As long as the spirit is within the matter, material body, we are alive. That is how we should understand the presence of Purusha, Atma, Paramatma within us. With this, we come to the last verse, Palashruti of this chapter. Kshetra kshetragnayorevam antaram gnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti mokyam cha ye vidur yanti te param. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. What does Krishna says? He is now concluding. Kshetra kshetragnayorevam. Who have this understanding of what is the difference between kshetra, kshetragna, atma, paramatma. He is the antaram gnana chakshusa. He is the man of wisdom. He has the eye of the knowledge. Now, when eyes are not able to see, we diagnose that as cataract. So when the mind is not able to see, we must start equipping ourselves with Gnana Chakshu. What does this Gnana Chakshu do? What does the operation do? Cataract is removed. Similarly, what does knowledge do? It removes the avidya, ajnana within us. The, that is the Gnana Chakshu. That is the understanding. That is the eye of wisdom. Krishna is saying, Antaram Gnana Chakshusha. Understand this process. Bhuta Prakriti Moksham cha. If you are able to understand this, then you are on the path of moksha. Ye vidur yanti te param. They will attain the supreme destination. What is param? That is the supreme destination. With that, we come to the end of this chapter. Srila Prabhupada very nicely summarizes this whole chapter. He says, what is the eye of knowledge? Eye of knowledge will help us. Earlier, we were under the impression, I am the body with consciousness. Now, I am consciousness with temporary body. And there is a sea of difference between the two. Here, I am always impacted by what happens to me through my body. Here, I am existing in this material world, but I am hardly influenced, impacted by what's happening to my body. That's the difference. So, quick, this thing, our chapter acronym is wisest. We have studied the wise questions. What is the soul, super soul? What are the items of knowledge in the last class? Today we started with enjoyer, seeker to seer, transcendental. And what did we learn? A quick recap. Enjoyer, Purusha, and understanding of Purusha and Prakriti. What is the first important lesson he gives us? He says, Prakriti and Purusha are eternal. Prakriti nature is cause of all material causes and effects. Jiva's association with modes and desire to enjoy causes transmigration. If we are able to stop this desire, we will not get into the samsara. Sad asat yoni janma, janma yonishu. Paramatma is within each living being. Upadrashta anumanta. Knowledge of Prakriti and Purusha will give us freedom from birth and death. Then what is transcendental knowledge? We saw that everything is a combination of Prakriti and Purusha. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Samyogat. If you see in 13.29, it said, spirit is common everywhere. Whatever be the shape of the body, whatever be the shape of the condition of the body to see, it won't. But the spirit within is universal. It is the same. Elephant and me, no difference. Me and ant, no difference. If you get this knowledge, do not allow the mind to degrade you. Tato yati param gatim. You will achieve the Lord. Go back to the Lord. Soul is the doer. Soul is the non-doer. Sorry. Kartaram sa pashyati. I think I have put this wrongly. Soul is the non-doer. Body is the doer. Prakrti is the doer. See the oneness of spirit beyond diversity of forms. That is Brahma Sampadyate Tada. Don't get affected by bhavam. World looks different, world looks diverse, but the spirit is one. Soul is transcendental, it is not affected by the modes. It is na karoti, na lipyate. It doesn't work, it doesn't get entangled. Soul doesn't mix with matter. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyad. Example is space. Soul illuminates the entire body by consciousness. Example, the sun illuminates the entire universe. Kshetra, kshetri, tata krishnam, dashayati bharata. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge can attain liberation. With this, we come to the end of this chapter. Thank you very much. Now, Chetana, the floor is open to you. You wanted to ask some questions.
That Prabhuji.
Yes, Chetana, go ahead.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ confusing it to each chapter, but still, if you can go back to that dream, the example that you gave about the dream and waking up and realizing that we are the same person.
Right.
Adu ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ, if you can repeat that example.
Okay. Let me come to that.
I had a question at that point and give up. Actually, question of Don't
worry. See, it is very difficult, and it is an understatement to say that 13th chapter was tough to understand. You read it any number of times. Every time you will have a similar or a connected doubt with the same words. So,
okay.
What is this Brahma vision? Brahma Sampadyate Tada is how do we understand this world that whatever is happening is true, it is real, but it is not happening to us. Purusa within the body is not affected. Now, this is Brahman vision. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam. Whatever be the body shape, it could be a whale, insect, ant, elephant, doesn't matter. The Purusa within is the same. You can get this vision, you are on the Brahman platform. Now, the Acharyas give us this example. Easy to say, difficult to understand. Let me repeat again. We are all awake today. And when we sleep, there is every possibility we dream. What happens to us? Where is the dream? The dream is within us. It is within this kshetra. And what happens to us when we dream? In the dream, we are in the dream world. Whatever is the role the dream gives us, we enact that. We go through all the emotions. Raga, dvesha, moha. We are angry. Sometimes we are laughing. All this is real and true till we are in the dream. The moment we wake up, dream is over. So what happens when we wake up? We realize, oh, this dream was within me. I was playing some part and it appeared so real. But when I wake up, I realize that dream is within me. I am the controller. I am the creator of the dream. But for that to happen, I had to wake up. In the dream state, I will never realize that. Krishna says, similarly, wake up. You are not the body. You are not killing Bhishma because the soul within Bhishma is eternal and that soul is part of me. He has told us this already. So now he's reinforcing that. Says that realize this, that you are not the body, you are the Atma within. Whatever is happening to the body is just like the dream state. It appears real, very much real. It is real. Of course, there is a difference between the dream and our lives. It's not that as soon as I wake up, I am not Ravi or I am not Sham. No. This is an example to say that what is happening to the body is real, but should I get influenced by that? Is it going to affect me as Atma, being part of Paramatma who is within me? No. Realize that Prakrti is the cause of all the things which are happening in the world. Remain mute witness to that. Accept, tolerate. Tam titikshas for Bharat. So the reality cannot be changed. Accept the reality. You can accept the reality if you don't have that ego which says, why should I suffer? Why me? This question has no answer. In the dream, you cannot say that, oh, well, can I rewrite the dream? Instead of me crying, I should be laughing. No, the dream will run its course because you are not writing the script of the dream. You're only experiencing and enacting the script of the dream. I hope second time it sounded a little more easy to understand. I don't know how many.
Little
I had
better
to read
probably.
this. I had to read this so many times to understand. Oh, what am I going to explain? Because in the dream, as soon as you wake up, the dream is no longer real. But Acharya say, please understand that is an example. The world.
But is it not that the soul inside us is controlling? I mean, like you wake up and you say, "No, I was the controller of the dream," right? So, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನನಗೂ ಕೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ I'm unable to frame the question. See, we tell children not to, not to view something that they'll be scared of, or that that causes anxiety just before bedtime.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Because we believe that they may dream of such things. For example, we tell them not to watch a snake video or something. National Geographic snakes mat dekho.
Right.
Acha kuch dekho.
Ah.
So does our external world affect the dream world?
No.
That's why I said we believe that aisa hota hai, but kya pata?
Exactly. So we
and
will not
it is
get
also
into
that
that
something
part.
that is deep in your mind, or something that you have been thinking about for a long time. It shows up in your dream, and then you say, and then you have a sense of deja vu, because
Right.
you seem to have already lived it or seen in your dream, and then you live it. So, do you get my question?
One caution here. See, why a dream happens is a separate subject for discussion. We will not get into that. But what is our learning from this example is, how do we look at life? Understand what happens to us in the dream world. And what Krishna is trying to tell us is that even though this world, whatever is happening externally to us, you appear to be not in control, he's saying you are in control. Only difference is, and that is possible, provided you don't believe it is happening to me. As long as Arjuna believed he is killing Bhishma, he is killing Drona, he was in deep agony. He was sad. The moment Krishna said, you are killing, because this world runs as per law of karma. I have written that Bhishma, Drona has to die at this hour by in your hands. You cannot go against that. Why we say we have to serve and surrender is because we cannot change anything in this world, because it is preordained, predestined, as per our own karma. We are the cause of that, whatever is happening to us. So after, of course, we don't remember that. When did we do that karma? Why is that happening to me? All that is our deep philosophical reflections. Krishna only says, realize and accept. Why we should surrender to the Lord is, Prakrti is not in our control. Prakrti will do what it has been told to do as per our karma. And why did this karma happen? Because of our own desire. So what Krishna says, stop desiring, then your karma will become akarma. The moment you have akarma, you have stopped incurring either pious credit or impious credit. The moment the ledger is clean, balanced, you don't have to come back into this world. You are with me.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I say something? I'm not interfering. If I'm not interfering, and
No,
the lady
not
says,
at all.
Chaitanya says, that's fine. I think, yeah, like you said, why dreams happen is beyond, outside. Even the psychologists don't know. But you're right. It may be whatever causes the dream, maybe. But once it happens, what is happening in the dream, we no control over it. See, whatever happened, what you think is what pre-dream you may be controlling. In other words, don't see this, don't see that. And But once the dream is happening, but I think what Shyam's explanation was, once it's happening, you have no control over it. You are somebody totally different. It is something else is happening. That's what, then you are totally detached. That's what he means. That's what I understand. Okay, one other point. I mean, if I don't know whether I added anything or confused, but one other thing, if I can make, Shyam, is like you said, in everything you see Param or God or something, right? And now you might just quote in this one, like Ajja's famous poem, right? Right. Kannada nalada pullanege pavana tulasi. And the second line, third line comes is Kannada nalada kallanege shalagrama shale. That's what he says. Even the stone is for him shalagrama. Like you said, so in everything in this universe, you see God. I thought I'll just put a parallel. That's all.
Tattvam stavara jangamam. Living, non-living, in everything you have Paramatma.
Yes, that's right.
So that Shile is a Shile for someone, but the same Shile is Saligrama for me.
Correct.
That's the Gnana Chakshu. Any other questions, Ravi? Ramesha?
Nothing from my side, Shyam. As you rightly said, in this particular, the dream sequence and why dreams happen, etc., all a different philosophical discussion. And here it was probably an illustration saying that as you play in a dream sequence, that is just the, without you really physically being there, but are a participant. Whereas in real life, in your karma, you are doing what you think is right, but somebody else is getting you to do it.
Yes. And when we do it, try to follow the path of mode of goodness. Don't try to harm, don't try to cheat, don't try to lie. These are all within our control.
And no expectations.
Now, that is not within our control. We always have an expectation attached. It comes free. Buy one, take two free. So if there is a transaction, I will think, oh, Ravi will do this for me. Oh, Shyam will do this for me. Now, if we can tell the mind, keep telling it, will not listen to us maybe for 1 year, 5 years, I don't know. At some point, the mind also will say, okay, this fellow is not going to listen to me.
Exactly. And we may go to the Brahmin conception finally.
Yeah.
Basically, dream is, you would say, it's a Maya.
It is Maya.
Life itself is Maya.
Exactly. And Krishna defines, there are two Mayas. So one is what we have seen, Mahamaya. This is life. The modes are active. He says, the same Mahamaya has Yogamaya potential also. See that Yogamaya. And if you have to see the Yogamaya, you should have this eternal vision, equal vision. First is realize that, Arey, yaar, I am not this body. I have nothing to lose. I brought nothing, I lose nothing. Zero sum game.
That requires to listen to your sessions over and over and over again. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
One is listen to Ravi. Second is, after we finish this class, start thinking, oh, what is that? Okay, I have to do at least one part of it. Next time, I'm in a car and somebody, an youngster overtakes from me from the left side. Don't immediately respond. I will press the accelerator. How did he overtake me? Now, that is reflex action. That is time when we should say, Arey, yaar, if he overtakes, it is his risk. Let him go. Somebody is yells at me. Arey, fine, yaar, he is yelling at me. What does it matter to me? It is his energy that he has wasted. Now, to come to this level, that is practice.
And I have seen you evolve, Shyam, so I know. I have seen you for 25 years, so I know.
And it's a journey, Ravi. It is, we don't think that we are anywhere close to that. It is, Marali Prayatnava Madu, Marali Prayatnava Madu.
Haudu.
Please.
I hope all on the line understand Kannada, alva?
Otherwise, I hope so. I hope so.
You are switching to Kannada.
Today, we have all Kannada audience. Nothing to worry.
Okay.
Nothing to worry at all. If there are no questions, then I would like all of you to enjoy the remaining part of your Sunday evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Hare
Shyam.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shyam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Uncle. Hare Krishna.